Hello everyone, welcome back to Data Vidyalaya. I am Suresh Reddy Nusi. So in this video, we'll start about this context memory in Claude. Okay. So what is this context memory? How it creates when we start a new session in the GitHub Copilot chat. So those all things we will learn in this particular video. Okay. So whenever a new session starts, okay, every time a new session or the conversation starts, Cloud has zero memory of everything before. Means like it will be the memory will be empty. Okay. And whatever the user or the developer starts the new session and start conversating with the LLM with the agent. Okay. So then the context is has been started developing. Okay. So it keeps on developing for each of the interaction that you are doing with the chat. Okay. So that's the main aim of this context window, which is the context memory window. Okay. And why exactly the context is important is that, so whenever you give a clear context to the model. Okay. So it clearly identifies that what exactly you wanted to require. Like for example, you wanted to write a Python file, like .py file or not. So that it gets there, like whether you wanted to create a test cases or whether you wanted to do the analysis and all, whether you wanted to update the log functions in that, or async or wait functions you wanted to update and all. You wanted to create an API call. So these are all things. If you give the right context, no, to the whenever you start the session, no, so then it will have a clear idea on like what exactly it has to create or the respond based on the conversation that you are using. Okay, so in order to get the context, no, there is like two things we can do. Okay, one is like you can create copilot instructions.md whenever you are using a Claude within the GitHub Copilot chat. Else, you if you are clearly using the dot Claude, no, means like Claude Code directly, no, you can create no, there will be a dot Claude folder. It will be created in the root folder, which is in your home user folder, and there you will find a name called claude.md. There you can give the clear instructions like what exactly it has to follow. Okay. So only one thing you need to remember is that whenever you start a new session, then the model in the back end will go through this copilot instructions.markdown file whenever you are using a GitHub Copilot chat with the Claude in it. Or if you are using directly a Claude in it, it will go and fetch this Claude.markdown file, and it will read all the instructions that you have mentioned in the markdown file, and then start responding to the prompts that which the user or developer gives to it. Okay. So that's the main aim of this context and all. And if why it is very important to give the context and all. For example, Claude writes JavaScript. If the user prompts, no, it writes JavaScript, but you are using TypeScript and all, so it gives a clear thought and all. Okay. Uses callbacks instead of async and await calls. Okay. So whenever you give the correct, no, correct context in the copilot instructions.markdown file, it will create the async or await calls only. Okay. And it uses the existing package instead of not using the relevant packages and all. If you wanted to use specified number of packages to use in that particular repo and all, no, it follows those things only. And if you want to write any particular standards of the code and all, you can use that. You can mention that in the copilot instruction.markdown file. Then it clearly follows that particular standards and all. Okay. So that's the importance of the context and all. I will clearly show that how this context window appears and how you can compact the conversation, where this copilot instructions.markdown file, and how you can create and all. I will clearly show you on that. Okay. So you can clearly mention the project stack in that. What are the coding standards? What are the folder structure you need to follow? What are the common commands you can use that? And what are the rules? What are the packages? What are the relevant what we call this particular coding techniques? Whenever you wanted to create a productionized standard of standard of coding techniques and all, you can use that. So already you mentioned, we see that, okay. So these are all things you can mention in that. If you are using any data science project, like what are the data exploration techniques you need to follow, what are the models you need to consider, machine learning models or the deep learning models you need to consider, or what are the evaluation metrics you need to consider. Those things and all you can clearly mention that in the Copilot instructions. Whereas if you are doing in analysis and all, like what are the measures of central tendency you need to incorporate, or what are the hypothesis testing techniques, okay, what are the probability techniques you can incorporate for this data. So these are all techniques you can give to the mod in the markdown file, so that it keeps on evaluating update. You can keep on updating this markdown file. Based on that only, the Claude will respond based on the markdown file instructions, okay. And this is the one which is copilot instructions.markdown file, which we can store in the .github. No, it will, whenever you start the conversation, as I said, the Cloud will read that particular instructions and all as a fixed permanent memory. And above that, whenever you are giving a prompt and all, keep on adding the prompts to that particular session and all. No, it keeps on adding that context to it, so that to get the full idea on like how to respond, or what the developer or the user is trying to do with that, and what is the responses he's expecting from this conversation and all. So these are all some of the techniques and all, okay. And so why context management is like whenever the context conversation is getting very long, and all, start a new focused conversation. Like, so these are some of the techniques, like where you wanted to create a specific type of context to that particular session and all. So whenever your context is getting too long, and you wanted to create a new feature to the existing code or repo and all. So if you are adding more things to a one particular conversation, it can go confused, and it cannot, it will not give the right responses and all, okay. So it as you are using the same session multiple times and all, no. So the memory will be open, where you can do compact conversation as well, but still it is has to remember everything, no. That's the one and all. You can, if you wanted to do that, you can add that particular things in that Copilot instructions and all, okay. So these are the things and all, okay. And yeah, these and all, once you start using that, you're using this interacting with the this Copilot chat with the Cloud and all, you'll get used to this, okay. And 1 minute. Yeah. So what we will do now is that we will see the practical example, like where exactly the cloud window is there and all. Okay. So if you see these, okay. So this is the Copilot instructions dot markdown file, and we can store this markdown file. See, two things, like we can create this markdown file on our own, or else you can ask the Cloud Code only to create the relevant instructions and all by using the prompt and all. Then once it creates in the .github, so in every repo, no, you can create one .github as one of the folder, and within that you can keep this Copilot instructions.md, okay. And you can pass on. So if this markdown file is just an instructions only, I asked Cloud only to create this markdown file. Else you can also write that it's a plain English. It's not something which you need to create by using some of the coding techniques and all. It's a plain English and all. Whatever you write in the markdown file, the Cloud whatever understands that, and then start responding to your prompts which you add in the GitHub Copilot chat, okay. So one thing is that whenever you start a new session, here you have the play symbol, no, like if you start the new session and all. So these are the existing sessions and all, okay. Hi, terminal, install the packages, test execution failure and all. These are some of the existing sessions and all, okay. So whenever you wanted to start a new conversation, like you can click on the plus symbol, and once you say that, no, whenever you type an hi, no, what it will do is that it will go to this github account, and then it will start reading these Copilot instructions, okay. Copilot instructions, and then it will start responding that, okay. So I'm here to help you with the insurance claim prediction project. So these are the instructions it follows, okay. So it will follow that, okay. So it will follow these instructions, and then that's why. So I haven't given any context to it, but how did it come to know that I am working on this particular project and all? So why? Because it has gone through this particular copilot instructions.markdown file and understood that what exactly there in that, and they, based on that, it has been responded like this. Okay. And the, if you see in the right, in the bottom corner, there is one light dark curved symbol. Okay. So which is what we call it as a context window. So this is what exactly I was saying. So this is a context window of 100%, like where whenever you input a particular prompt and all, it keeps adding the tokens, and whenever the model responds and all, it keeps adding those tokens as well, and that interaction, it keeps on developing as a context and all. Okay. So if you see here, if system instructions is 3% only, whereas tool definitions 12.5 percentage, and messages only 0.3 percentage. So it keeps on increasing as we are interacting with that and all. So once it reaches 100%, no, you can compact this conversation as well. Okay. So you can compact this conversation as well, and then once you compact this conversation and all, no. So if you see from 16%, it may be reduced to 1% or 2% and all. Okay. It will reduce the context and all on itself. We can't do, we will not be doing anything on itself. Only when you use this particular command called slash compact, or you can click on this compact conversation. So it keeps on reducing that percentage of the conversation or context window conversation and all. Okay. So the only thing it will do is that, so if you see here, so it has been reduced from 16 to 15 percentage. It will reduce furthermore. Okay. So it depends on the, it depends on the interaction and the conversation and all. Okay. So whenever you start, you even in the same session, if you start keep on interacting and all, no, the context window, this percentage amount of usage and all, it keeps on increasing and all. So once it reaches the 100%, no, then the interactions will be very slow. Why? Because as we have seen in the PPT, no, like if you keep on adding more context, instead of that, you can add that in the copilot instructions.markdown file. Okay. So that's the only thing and all. Okay. So along this is about this context window. So and another thing I was saying it to you is that uh, whenever you are using this context window, no, as you are using this with the Copilot chat. Okay. So if you wanted to use with the use with this uh, use with the Claude Code, okay, instead of this and all, no. So there you, if you see here in the home section, there is one folder called dot Claude. Okay. So once you create this dot Claude code, no, there is one folder called sorry, markdown file called Claude MD. So this also it will take into consideration in the options of the GitHub Copilot instructions.md. Okay. So in that options, it will consider this cloud.markdown file as the base permanent memory before giving the responses to the user based on the prompts he hits. Okay. So that's one of the thing and all. Okay. So this is more about this context window, context memory. Okay. Mostly with respect to the sessions and all. Okay. And apart from this, you have any idea on the skills and all, which we will be going to discuss that in our next session. That's the core and all, which we will be considering more on that. Okay. So one thing is that Cloud has zero memory between the conversation. This is by design, like every session has the new session, or the conversation has the new memory. It starts like it will not be transferring between that. Cloud Copilot instructions.markdown file is one of the base memory or the permanent memory that loads on every session and all. And whenever this file is an option, like we can use this cloud.markdown file, which is there in the root folder and all. So that it will consider it as that. Where here you can mention your coding standards, stack or flow, means like what are the coding stack you wanted to use, and what are the folder structure, commands, rules, packages, everything you can install include in this. Okay. And you can keep your conversation focused, fresh, and for unrelated task. If you don't divert that for every new feature, you create a new session and all. So don't mix up that, and don't keep on adding in the same conversation and all. These are some of the things once you start with the using that and all. Once you start using this, you will get a cutthroat idea on that. Okay. So that's about this cloud memory. Okay. So till then, happy learning. Thank you.